a masked ball at the St. Paul Auditorium Theater, 8:30 curtain on that. The Edgewater 8 Salute to 67, the music of Irving Berlin at the Edgewater Inn. The Gene Moran Quartet at the Drake Raskeller. Playboy Club comedian Ronnie Eastman at Mr. Nibbs. Mavis Rivers at Davy Jones' Locker in the Downtown Motel. The King Sisters with Alvino Ray at the Auto Show, 3:30 and 9:30 at the Minneapolis Auditorium. The Riverboat Ramblers at the Golden Onion in Mendota. The Hall Brothers at the Emporium of Jazz in Mendota. And let's see. Jeannie Farrell and the Tommy O'Donnell Trio in the Gollywog Lounge at the Sheridan Ritz. Danny Clayman and the Jerry Pearson Trio at the Poodle. Quintet Ipanema at the White House. And the last appearance at Diamond Lil's Club by Dick Contino, accordionist, among other things. Joni McCoy and the Jester Lounge at the Camelot.
Take pride in and take part in the exciting activities that are yours in marvelous Minneapolis, St. Paul.
20 degrees, partly cloudy in the Twin Cities area. It's 11:28. And you're listening to the music of Les Brown, the band of renown. Sign of the times. It's going to be cold. It's at least on Sunday. It's going to get down to 12 below Sunday night. High temperature this afternoon in the lower 20s. Not too much. Our low tonight, 0. Right now, 20 degrees. Les Brown, band of renown, sign of the times. 20 degrees and partly cloudy, and it's 11:30. I'll see you in a few.
Now we switch you to the KSTP NBC newsroom. News headquarters for the Northwest, your authoritative news source, serving you from Minneapolis and St. Paul.
This is Stan Turner, KSTP News. Minnesota legislators have rounded out their first full week of the new session with already 114 bills having been introduced in the House and 67 in the Senate. And Governor Levander says he is within $5 million of establishing a final budget figure, which is expected to top the $1 billion mark. That would be the highest in state history. Meanwhile, little of the new governor's program has been introduced, but he says he will rely mostly on conservative lawmakers to bring it before the legislature. Levander has reemphasized he will not request new taxes with the exception of a possible penny-a-gallon increase in the gasoline tax. St. Paul Mayor Thomas Byrne called today for legislative action in the form of direct aid from statewide tax funds. In his report to the people, delivered to a sparse audience at Harding High School, Byrne said the time has come for the state to recognize that the property tax is unfair. He called for alternatives.
It is my feeling that the state must seriously study a program of direct aid from statewide tax funds, sources which the cities cannot reach, similar to the income tax program which has so successfully assisted our schools over the years. Such a program can be put into effect. It can halt the increases in local property taxes. It could actually reduce local property taxes without raising any additional local taxes whatsoever. It is simply a question of priorities. The state must decide that some monies it is now taking from sources which properly should be available to the municipalities can be better used at the local level than they are being used today at the state level.
Mayor Byrne called for reform in the furls of gross earnings taxes, inheritance taxes, hotel-motel taxes, school aids formulas, and telephone taxes. In other news this morning, Minnesota's Representative Donald M. Fraser will be the only member of Congress to attend an international study conference on NATO in Hamburg, Germany. Co-sponsors of the conference are the Friedrich Neumann Foundation and the Liberal International. Charles Johnson, the executive sports editor of the Minneapolis Star and the Minneapolis Tribune, is hospitalized today following a possible heart attack. He is resting comfortably in fair condition, according to a supervisor at St. Barnabas Hospital in Minneapolis. Tests are being conducted to diagnose the exact complaint. Authorities at Shenandoah, Iowa, say a young St. Joseph, Missouri couple apparently were asphyxiated overnight after they fell asleep in the cab of a semi-trailer truck parked near a restaurant near the southwestern Iowa community. The victims were identified as 27-year-old Charles Burton and his 26-year-old wife. The truck reportedly belongs to a Worthington, Minnesota firm. An investigation continues. In world news in brief today, brief but heated engagements with small enemy units have been reported throughout South Vietnam this day. In the Iron Triangle, U.S. and South Vietnamese officials still report no major contacts. However, small clashes have pushed the communist toll in the American drive to 286 dead, 64 captured, and 105 surrendered. Elsewhere in the war, 3 U.S. planes are reported lost. 1 was downed over North Vietnam, and 2 others were lost in action over South Vietnam. Meanwhile, U.S. B-52 bombers pounded a suspected North Vietnamese troop concentration less than 1 mile south of the demilitarized zone. Bad weather continued to hamper Allied airstrikes against the North. On the water, a Norwegian motor ship and a U.S. Navy minesweeper collided in a river near Saigon. 3 members of the minesweeper's 7-man crew were lost when the vessel sank. And Vietnamese artillery fire has been blamed in the deaths of 10 South Vietnamese civilians earlier this week in ground action about 40 miles south of Saigon. First reports had said the civilians, all children, were killed when Viet Cong troops used them as shields while attacking a Vietnamese government ranger post. A Bahamian election stalemate apparently has been broken. Lyndon Pindling was asked today to form a new government, and he will become Bahamas' first Negro chief of state. 9 persons, a man, his wife, and 7 of their children, lost their lives today in a fire on Philadelphia's north side. 3 other children escaped by leaping from the burning building. Witnesses said the house was encased in a ball of fire within seconds after the blaze was discovered. And 5 mothers and 31 newborn infants were evacuated from a Memphis, Tennessee hospital maternity ward when a smoky fire broke out in a lounge nearby. Firemen confined the blaze to the lounge and no one was seriously injured. An American sentenced to 3 years in a Soviet labor camp after being convicted on charges of theft and currency violations has been freed on bail in Leningrad, pending an appeal to the Soviet Supreme Court. Buell Wortham was released after the Soviet court agreed to accept the $22,000 bail raised by citizens of Wortham's hometown, North Little Rock, Arkansas. A Japanese report says Red Chinese military men have stormed a hideout of anti-Mao military officers, capturing scores of them. It appears to be the first report of violence within Red China's army over Party Chairman Mao's purge of his opponents. The communications satellite launched this week from Cape Kennedy has been directed to move toward a stationary orbit around the Earth in an attempt to create a new communications link between North America and the Far East. The ComSat Corporation, owners of the satellite, says reports indicate the initial phase of the operation was successful. And the Space Administration announces plans for launching a camera-carrying spacecraft next month to take a close look at the most promising manned landing sites on the Moon. Lunar Orbiter 3 will carry wide-angle and telephoto lenses as it whirls around the Moon, snapping shots of about 10 selected landing sites. This note on the weather, cold wave warnings for temperatures as low as 5 below zero have been posed for sections of western Wisconsin and extreme northwestern Illinois as a new wintry blast of Arctic air moves into the area. A snowstorm in the area continues to move westward. 5 inches is expected in northern portions of lower Michigan. The storm already has dropped up to half a foot of snow on sections of southeast Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. Other snow and cold air is plaguing the north and central Rockies. Locally, late word from the Minneapolis City Engineering Department says snowplows will continue blading arterial and east-west residential streets today, while alleys will be cleared around the clock. Beginning at 8 tomorrow morning, the plows will clear north-south residential streets, and Minneapolis residents are asked to comply with the snow emergency by keeping vehicles off those designated streets. In St. Paul, a snow emergency is also in effect. Plowing crews will be working on the emergency routes, bus routes, the main traffic streets, and arterial highways today and tomorrow until the roadways are cleared. And now to our brand newly issued Twin Cities and vicinity weather forecast. Variable cloudiness with a chance of a few light snow flurries this afternoon. Fair to partly cloudy tonight and tomorrow. It should be colder today, much colder tonight, and continued cold tomorrow. The winds northwesterly, 8 to 15 miles per hour. They should diminish by this evening. The high today in the lower 20s, low tonight 0. High tomorrow 12, and low tomorrow night 12 below. At present, skies are partly cloudy. The winds are picking up now. They're northwest at 17, gusting to 23. Barometer rising from 29.87 inches. Humidity 68%, and the temperature reading 20 degrees. This is Stan Turner, KSTP News. Portions pre-recorded. Our next scheduled news at 11:55.
This has been a presentation of KSTP News, your complete news source, serving you from Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Cause this time you're out of luck now. There ain't no way I'm gonna change my mind. Oh, well, there ain't no way I'm gonna change my mind. Maybe you'll believe me when I left you far behind. Don't get down on your knees and don't bother with your teasing. This time I swear that I ain't fine. Maybe some of the fool will find you. Just close the door behind you. Ain't no way.
Nashville Guides. Done for you by the Lovin' Spoonful. Thank you, you wonder persons.
My Aunt Margaret is a lady doctor. She's got a big waiting room with a lot of old funny magazines. I'm gonna be a lady doctor too. I even told my friends, if you get sick, wait until I'm old enough to make it all better.
There's one thing that won't wait if sickness or accident keeps you from working. The bills for living expenses that keep coming in even after your income stops. Where would you get the money to help pay them? Equitable's disability income policy could be the answer. It can provide cash for weeks, months, or years to help you meet living expenses until you're well again. To protect your future, look ahead with living insurance from Equitable. The Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States.
In Minneapolis, call Joseph Wolf of the Elwood H. McVitie Agency at 339-8751. The Equitable Assurance Society of the United States.
KSTP, St. Paul and Minneapolis.
Keep track of the men you elected to the state legislature and the laws they pass. St. Paul Dispatch and Pioneer Press reporters and photographers cover the Capitol from every angle to dig out the facts for you. You'll find complete legislative coverage from the capital city by our alert, seasoned, and responsible writers. A little heavy on the cloves there. Yours daily in the morning, St. Paul Pioneer Press, and evening, St. Paul Dispatch. Oh, isn't it a fun show? Yeah. Okay, well, it's almost wrap-up time. I'm going to go buy me some new shower clocks and things. Have a big day lined up for myself today. Tune the wife's organ, things like that, you know. Play a little two-handed bridge by myself. Don't think that isn't tricky. Trying not to cheat is the big problem. And this is the music of, why, of course, Ray Lafevre. And it's called Spanish Eyes. Big and round. Holy! In closing, this is Charlie Bush saying, it may cost money to have knives sharpened, but it's cheaper than buying tender meat.
Goodbye, Charlie.
Now we switch you to the KSTP-NBC newsroom. News headquarters for the Northwest, your authoritative news source, serving you from Minneapolis and St. Paul.
This is Stan Turner, KSTP News, Minneapolis, St. Paul, brought to you by the 9 offices of Twin City Federal, where you earn 5 1/4% per year on 6-month savings certificates. The Minnesota legislature is in recess until Monday, and at that time, the first bill to be passed out of committee will be ready for House consideration. It is a resolution to ratify, on behalf of Minnesota, the Presidential Succession Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Among other things, it would provide for the Vice President to act as President in case the President were incapacitated. Thus far, 114 bills have been introduced in the House and 67 in the Senate. And although no major actions have been taken by the legislature thus far, there is plenty of behind-the-scenes jockeying on important matters. One of the hottest questions being hashed over is the possibility of a state sales tax, and another is a possible hike in the state gasoline tax. St. Paul Mayor Tom Byrne, in his report to the people today, called for significant tax reform and for a study by the legislature of direct aid from statewide funds. Byrne said the matter is one of priorities, and he suggested avenues of approach.
It has been noted that the amount of St. Paul real estate which is tax exempt amounts to 43% of the property which is taxable. Or, to put it in a slightly different way, approximately 1/3 of the property in St. Paul is tax exempt. A significant reason for this is that the telephone company and all of our railroads are exempt from property taxes. They pay a gross earnings tax to the state. These gross earnings taxes should not be retained by the state. They should be returned to each of the local communities in proportion to the value of the property these companies remove from the tax rolls. The share of state-collected inheritance taxes, which goes to the community of residence of the deceased person, should be raised. 50% should go to the county of residence, with 30% rebated to local communities within the county. A state-collected 5% hotel-motel tax should be imposed and rebated to the community in which the hotel or motel is located. Finally, of course, the present school aids formula should be revised.
Byrne's report to the people was delivered this morning to a sparse audience at Harding High School in St. Paul. We will have more news in just a moment. Now, Twin City Federal is giving away a 10-day cruise in the Caribbean. That's 10 days for two aboard the luxurious Statendam, one of the happy ships of the Holland America line. The cruise includes delightful land trips planned by Cooks. That's the greatest name in travel. What a prize to win indeed. Give yourself a chance by entering the Caribbean cruise drawing at any one of Twin City Federal's 9 offices. If you don't win the grand prize, you might win one of the 15 second prizes. That is a weekend of fun for two at the new St. Paul Hilton, the Twin Cities' tallest hotel, with 5 beautiful restaurants and lounges, the newest Hilton in all in the world. This drawing closes Monday, January 16th, so why not stop in and sign an entry blank where the famous twin clock flashes the time and the temperature. Twin City Federal, largest savings and loan association in 49 states. The current rate on convenient passbook saving, 4.5% per year. In brief, a very quick look at the weather. Currently in the Twin Cities, skies are partly cloudy, winds northwest at 17, and the temperature reading 20 degrees. For Twin City Federal, largest savings institution in this area, Twin City Federal, where the famous twin clock flashes time and temperature. This is Stan Turner, KSTP News, portions pre-recorded. Next in sound, the Metropolitan Opera's Saturday broadcast, and our next scheduled news follows the opera.
This has been a presentation of KSTP News, your complete news source, serving you from Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Twin Cities and vicinity forecast, variable cloudiness with a chance of a few light snow flurries this afternoon. Fair to partly cloudy tonight and Sunday, colder today. Much colder tonight and continued cold on Sunday. Winds northwesterly, 8 to 15 miles per hour, diminishing tonight. Our high temperature this afternoon will be in the lower 20s. The low tonight 0, the high Sunday 12, the low Sunday night 12 below. Chance of measurable precipitation this afternoon 10%, tonight and Sunday, well, it's going to be 5%. Right now, our temperature reading 20 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Stay tuned for the Metropolitan Opera Network.
Hear the sound of the city, the songs that are heard in the Twin Cities on KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
12 noon.